Welcome to another episode of Edison Means Business. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Joel Natter from Zimmel Associates, Barbara Roos, of course, from the Edison Chamber of Commerce, Alan Ramsey from Heller Industrial Parks. And these are businesses here in Edison, and I am so happy to welcome all of you. Now, Joel, I'd like to start with you, if I may. Please tell us something about your company.
Well, excuse me. My name is Joel Natter. I'm an executive vice president at Zimmel Associates. A little bit about the company. The history of it goes back to the mid-1980s, I think 85 or 86, where the father and son team of Bernard and David Zimmel decided to leave the company that they had been with and form their own company and make a decision to base the company here in Edison. And again, this was back in the mid-80s. The major thrust of inception and where we went and where we've been and where we are right now is to provide a complete scope of corporate and commercial real estate services to the business community. Pretty much, even though based in Edison, we consider ourselves to be a small regional company, and we do about 90% of our business in 4 different counties centered here in Middlesex.
Alan, we know Heller is a very established name here in Edison Township. Please tell us something about Heller Industrial.
Sure. Founded by Isaac Heller, 1966, up in Harrison, New Jersey. He built his first warehouse there for Heinz Foods. He was a young kid then, and he tells the story as Heinz needed a warehouse facility next to a rail spur in the Newark, New Jersey area. And he presented them with plans and was looking to seal the deal, and they challenged him and said, "Mike, how do we know you can get this done? You're just a kid. How can you do it?" He said, "Give me a chance." And from that point on, he's designing and building and developing industrial properties. It was a few years later where he came down to Edison. He had the opportunity to purchase a large tract of land here, and this has been our corporate home since 1968 approximately. And in Edison, we have 8.5 million square feet of first-class distribution facilities, approximately 90 industrial tenants, ranging from small mom-and-pop facilities, specialty distribution, to large international corporations that lease hundreds of thousands of square feet. We have facilities down in Dayton, New Jersey, about 3.5 million square feet. In Franklin Township, about 1 million square feet. And then Ike was challenged with Heinz. Once he was successful with the first project, they took him around the country, and we need a building in Texas, Indiana, Illinois. So we have a variety of buildings around the country, and 2 industrial parks in Texas, one in Grand Prairie and one in Houston.
Barbara.
I was just going to ask you a quick question, Alan. How many employees would you say is represented in those 90 tenants here in Edison? About how many jobs?
We've done surveys over the past years, and it comes in close to 4,000, I
Wow.
believe. Yeah.
How about yourself, Joel? About how many jobs do you think your tenants create?
You mean the ones that...
In Edison?
In Edison? Oh...
Roughly.
Somewhere between 800 and 1,200. In
That's
that range.
phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
No wonder the roads are congested in the morning and afternoon. I go down Woodbridge Avenue, I can see that between Heller Industrial Park traffic and the ones coming in from the college, it is almost dead stop many mornings. It's 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
If I could expand on that, is what's so key about Edison is the location.
Yes.
Sure.
You're close to the ports, you're close to New York, Philadelphia, and you're at the intersection of all the major highways. And with the volume of traffic that goes through, it's just amazing. It does move. Sometimes it's a little slow, especially when the college picks up, and the Middlesex County College picks up in the fall. There's a rush of young students going there, but traffic moves very well in most sections of the town, and that's a real asset for being located here for distribution.
The percentage of your tenants, do they use mostly truck or rail?
Almost entirely truck nowadays, and that's pretty much the consensus across the the country. When I started the business 40-some years ago, it was very closely related to rail service. But now with the interstate highway system, the access on the highways and the affordability of trucking is really the way product moves. On rail, you get a lot of heavy materials, automobiles, building products that move that way across the country, but not most consumer products.
Right. And Joel, are there any initiatives that that your company is promoting?
I guess in terms of initiatives, I can try to speak for a number of the owners that we represent. We don't essentially, we market the initiatives,
Yes.
we don't originate the initiatives. But I would think at this point in time, at least in the office and in the warehouse market on the properties that we handle in Edison, you know, at least over the last 4 to 5 years since we had that downturn back in late 2008, you know, a number of the initiatives have been in the rent concession category, where an owner, for example, on a, let's say on a 10-year warehouse lease could offer, I don't know, maybe 6 months of rent-free occupancy up front. And what they would do is they would tag that rent-free occupancy off of the lease term. So you'd get 10 years of rent plus the, let's say, 6 months of rent-free occupancy. I mean, that's been one initiative. Another initiative that started again a number of years ago that is still ongoing is being a bit more tuned in, aggressive, and challenging in terms of accommodating tenants' needs and creating rental structures that will hopefully enhance the tenant's ability to want to be in that property. Another enticement would also be amenities. You know, companies right now are very tuned into amenities. If you're adjacent to a hotel, if you have a cafe on site, if you've got, in some office buildings, if you can provide covered parking or underground parking or deck parking, you know, those again are some more incentives, amenities that you can market and promote out there to the user market.
Mr. Heller puts a lot of other responsibilities on us, but that sign has, I personally have taken 2 calls from the sign. People driving down the turnpike and they call Heller, and I've made 2 deals based upon the response from that sign. I like the analogy. That sign is kind of like being on the main street of the New York-Washington axis, if you will, of business. It cuts right through between the 2 cities, and we're right there on each side of it, fortunately. And with the town's permission to put that sign up, it has helped us tremendously. It's just dedicated to advertising Heller Park and Edison to the people that travel the turnpike.
Well, when you said almost 100% occupancy, let me tell you then, it's when the child care center was opened, it was established, and Mr. Heller was so proud to bring us through on a tour. Can you tell us something about, I mean, it's still there, isn't it?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about it?
We like to think of it as world class, but that's not our thinking. People support that opinion, status, I should say. And the director has been there continuously for the 20-some years that it's been open. A wonderful staff that works with her. I think it's ages from 18 months up through kindergarten now. There's a student population, a little over 100 students in there every day, and it runs like clockwork. It's just a top-notch facility. We're very proud of it.
And those amenities you're talking about, is it just for the tenants there at the park, or is it open to?
No, we give a little preference to the employees in the park, but it's not limited to that at all, and then extends out to residents of Edison.
When you mentioned the occupancy, you boast about it being almost like 90%. What's the average occupancy, would you think, in the Middlesex, Edison, Middlesex area, as far as office and as far as industrial?
Okay, I can't speak to office, but to industrial warehousing. In 2008, as Joel referred, the recession hit, and it was really, really tough. Of the 80, 90 tenants in Heller Park, Edison, maybe 20 of them came to us and asked for help. We need reduced rent. We need to stretch things out, lower our costs, and we had to respond and respond and respond. Subsequent to that, it's been improving. But Middlesex County back in 2008 probably had vacancy of industrial property of maybe 15%. But take little submarkets like down in 8A, Dayton, it was probably 30% vacant.
Yes.
And that's where give and take of all of our costs that we have to represent to our tenants, our prospective tenants, is when we can show lower taxes in Edison, which you've helped us with in the last few years, that's a tremendous asset to offset those companies that want to move further south to Pennsylvania or whatnot. Our tax rate right now that we represent to our prospective tenants is astounding. It's great. Total respect for the restraints on your budget, which I have to compliment you on.
Thank you.
How you do it, I don't know. But it's been tough for the township, I know for sure, and it's been tough for us to retain tenants. But we've gotten over the major hurdles there, and I think we're moving ahead. Right now in the county, industrial vacancy might be in the 5 to 7% range, but I'm not studied on it. I'm just going from memory of reports that I've read in the last few months.
That's good.
But it's improved a lot. And right in the park now, we just had a tenant move out. Their lease term ended, and we haven't found a replacement tenant. So we're 1% vacant in the park right now.
1% vacant.
How about the office industry?
Yeah, in the office market, I would say if you take the greater Edison area, overall you're probably looking at a vacancy rate of somewhere in and around 18 to 20%. But if you take Edison Township by itself and you subtract out 3 or 4 individual buildings that happen to have high levels of vacancy, if you were to push them out and just take the rest of the office market in Edison, you could be in that 10 to 12 range.
Okay.
There's a couple of the high-rise towers in the Metro Park on the Edison side that unfortunately have been suffering a little bit.
Right.
In fact, there's a large building down the street too that also has had quite a bit of vacancy over the years. But other than that, again, in the office market, I think it's been pretty healthy.
We are very proud of the fact that Joel and Alan are co-chairs of our Economic Development Committee, Economic Development and Public Affairs. And we do have Edison stakeholders forums every once in a while. And that's very interesting in that we get to hear from the different people from what's happening in the industry, and they give us feedback of what the vacancy occupancy rates are, or new tenants coming in and where they're coming from and why they pick Edison. So we're very proud of the fact that we have kind of a grassroots level there. We're very proud of the fact that we work with the Edison Township, the fact that you're there at all these meetings and we have this close open relationship. And occasionally one of the councilmen, Rob Karabinchik, will join us. I think he's the chair of the Economic Committee on the council, something like that. So we get to know what's going on. So the other is that we kind of watch which pieces of legislation, whether it be at the municipal level or if it be at the state level, and we ask the business people what they think about what's going on, and we try to feed back to our legislators what the business-friendly opinion would be, or what the business-friendly attitude should be. And I also wanted to mention the fact that we're very appreciative of the fact that we think that the Construction Code Office is much more business friendly. Yes. And the gentleman here can speak to some of the incidences we've had in the past where it's taken a long time to get the process through, and people would go in there and they think they've got it and then they don't have it. So I know that you worked hard to do that. So that certainly helps.
That goes back to one of our original stakeholders meetings. It was May of last year, I believe, early May. And Mayor, you were there.
Yes.
And you took the brunt of it. The representatives that were there were from Heller, Federal, Summit, Alvert Center, Prologis, Simon Properties. There's office owners and developers there, and you heard the stories of how all of us were really suffering from the time delays. And I have to emphasize the time delays were just horrendous of getting approvals for improvements to the buildings to be made.
Right.
And you stood toe-to-toe with them. And more importantly, you went back and you changed things. And I think the town had to make a tough decision to go the right course and forego the wrong course that had been established before.
Right.
And I have to tell you, it's working very, very good now. And thank you for that.
Yeah, we're hearing good stories.
That help.
Very good. Well, thank you. And sometimes you're right. Sometimes you do have to make tough decisions, but you know what? That's why we're here. And you want to be in the position to be able to invite businesses to come into the community, because without your tax dollars, believe it or not, and you don't want everything to be on the economic portion of it or the tax dollars that are realized. But by having viable businesses in our municipality, it's helping everyone. It's helping you, obviously, in your businesses, but it's also helping every resident who lives in this township, because, we're able, you mentioned the way we were able to stabilize taxes, and in fact, drop taxes on the municipal side by, I think it's 5 or 6 cents for each $100 of assessed value. We couldn't do it unless we all worked together. And so I think this has been a wonderful partnership between the public entity and the business community.
The groups that we're working with here are also looking at a branding statement. Again, through the Economic Committee, we came up with a branding statement that we can boast about how wonderful Edison is to do business and what we're doing to encourage businesses to come here. Now, independently, each of our developers and our real estate people do that, but we want them to come with a collaborative effort to come with a common message about how great it is to come to Edison to do business. So we came up with a colored, glossy brochure that will be publicized in here real soon. It has an aerial map on it. And we all will have the same message. This is the place to be. We have the expediting service and business-friendly attitude and whatever. And we've got location, location, location. So that's something that we're working on. And it takes all of us working together to do that.
That brings to mind the last stakeholders meeting that we had when the representative from Choose New Jersey, Mike Mangan, and he had been at a convention, was it overseas somewhere? And he thought he was going to be in a position where he had to sell New Jersey and sell New Jersey as a place to be. And whatever market he was in, people were coming to him before he said a thing, saying, I want to be in New Jersey if I come to the United States. And a few people said, I want to be in Edison, New Jersey if I come to the United States to run my business. It is a key destination.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Alan, Joel, and of course Barbara. We look forward to our very next Edison Means Business.